we've done here today is assemble a bunch of very interesting Taildragger LSA. And this isn't all of them. We've actually got another one that arrived on the field here, but not quite in time to join us. But going from, we'll go counterclockwise around the circle. We'll start with the Cub SS from Cub Crafters. Then we go to the Rands S7 Courier from Rands. We go to the FK12 Comet from FK Light Plane, sold by Hanson Air Group. We go to the, you can almost hardly see the airplane on those big boy tires there, but that's the iCub from the Zlin Company, sold by Sport Aero USA. And we come around to the final part of the circle, the American Legend from American Legend Aircraft Company.
Now, there are differences in these aircraft, though.
There are differences in all of them. The one thing they all share is they're all Taildraggers. And I don't think any of these airplanes convert to anything but a Taildragger. So these are Taildraggers meant to stay this way and remain this way. And this is what an awful lot of people love. Now, we've got two Cubs, the Carbon Cub and the American Legend Cub. And these are some of the most popular airplanes in the LSA space. It's about 1 in 5 SLSA, or Special Light Sport aircraft, that have been sold are one of these two models. But we've got some others that look very similar in some ways. One that doesn't look so similar, but two that do. This is the iCub from Zlin and the Rands S7. Rands has been around a long time with this airplane, and this has a distinction of being one of only 2 airplanes that ever qualified as a primary category aircraft, and is now available 3 ways, and we'll do some of this with the rest of them, but as long as I mentioned it, the Rands is available as a kit, as an ELSA, or as an SLSA. So you can have that one any way you want. The iCub is a newer model. In fact, we knew this model as the Savage aircraft, a name I never loved, but I like the iCub a lot better. It has that sort of unusual name because it's got an eye device inside it. We'll talk about that some more in a minute too. But they've got this one set up on some big Tundra tires. Finally, the last of the Taildraggers looks a little different than all the other ones. That's the FK12 from Germany. Being sold in this country by Hanson Air Group, and it's obviously a biplane. You can see that part. What you can't see is that those wings fold back, and it's got a variety of cockpit configurations, and it's going to be fitted with a Lycoming engine so that it can be used aerobatically, because that aircraft is qualified for that. But there's one here that's got a little different engine than all the rest of them, and is actually one of the distinctive qualities of the Cub SS. So I need a little help with the engine. This is Chris Cater. Chris Cater. He's from Cub Crafters and is representing this airplane here at the Midwest LSA Expo. Tell me a little bit about the engine here.
Well, basically what we have here is a ECI Stroker 340 engine. It's essentially a Lycoming 0320 clone that we stroked to 340. And then we put a lot of our own lightweight components on there, exhaust, oil, air mix, lightweight alternator, lightweight starter. And we've kind of bumped the TBO up quite a bit too, to 2,400 hours on the TBO. But it's a 180 horsepower engine for 5 minutes. And then under the SLSA certification, it's reduced to 80 horsepower, which is normally the way you fly it anyway.
I see, okay. That's a typical kind of cruise number.
Yeah, but you have the 180 horsepower for takeoff in the first 5 minutes.
Makes an impressive performer.
And believe me, it doesn't take 5 minutes to get in the air. It'll take off across the runway. I saw it.
It's a great video on their website that I think shows that, and it's a fun thing to watch. That it was like 19 feet or something like that was the best number achieved.
YouTube is our friend.
Yes, right.
So how do they get this airplane down into the weight category? I mean, it looks so, I don't know, big.
It has a certain ramp presence about it, but at Cub Crafters, our motto is we count grams, not ounces, and everything that we can take out of the airplane that is not used for load bearing or support. Basically, we've replaced aluminum, a lot of aluminum, with carbon fiber, and just any place that we can look and cheat gravity by reducing weight, we've taken it to that degree.
Aviators love to cheat gravity. Absolutely. It's a favorite expression.
That's what makes them fly.
And one of our other guys here loves to use that phrase too. But that's why it's called a Carbon Cub, isn't it?
We've got about 22 components, give or take a few, that are carbon fiber. Essentially, everything firewall forward is carbon fiber. The whole interior of the cockpit is carbon fiber. The seat pedestal, the seat back. We've got carbon fiber that runs along the longerons, carbon fiber wingtips. but we really have reduced.
I mean, even components like right here. Am I not looking at this here?
Yes, this is all carbon fiber.
It's got that distinctive look. Now, sometimes that look can just be a look, but in this case, it's the real McCoy.
It is, and the thing is the whole engine, everything that's carbon, essentially is carbon material with an epoxy, but everything looks like that. We just keep some of it, that raw carbon look, and then we paint some of it. We've got some of those features on the inside, too.
Excellent.
So.
Okay, so we're going to come back to this a little bit. We're going to.
There'll be more details. We'll call you
Right.
back into the picture again, Chris, but thanks for the explanation on that special engine that it's got in it.
Now, this is the Rans here.
The Rans S7.
Now, we actually have the designer and the manufacturer here, do we not?
We do. He's both guys, and we'll ask him to, hey, say, Randy, would you mind coming on over? This has become, I've had the pleasure to fly a lot of Randy's airplanes. He's a prolific designer. 14 or 15 or 16 designs. I've lost track now. I can't count that high. But I was a long time flying this one because I kind of wrote it off and went, well, it's just a Cub or something. I'll fly it later. Until I did finally go fly it. It was down at the AOPA show in 2005, and I flew with Randy and went, okay, I now know what the excitement's about. This is a sweet flying machine. Welcome to Randy Schlitter, the designer of this airplane. Thanks for coming on out here in the mist with us at the Midwest LSA Expo.
Yeah.
So you've got an airplane here. It's how long have you been making the S7?
Since 85.
85. So if I can do the math real quickly here, that's like 26 years that this airplane's been on the market. That's a long time, and it's gone through a lot of changes. Early ones had two strokes,
we
did
lost
they not?
count of the changes, man. So
I'm sure you
yeah,
did.
the original 7 was 390 pounds with a 503, and it quickly advanced to about a 720-pound airplane with a 100-horse engine.
So you doubled the empty weight and double the
More
horsepower.
More than double the horsepower.
Yeah.
And 1320 gross. And I think back when it was a 400-pound airplane, we had about a 900-pound gross. So we've always had almost a 2-to-1 on the lift.
And it's one of the things that's very special about the airplane is the door. Now that seems like a simple thing to look at about the airplane. Pardon?
The
doors, yes, right. There's two. We don't have them both open here, but it's a giant door. It may not look that way from this perspective or whatnot, but if you, as we go around the circle here and compare the other airplanes, they've got some wide openings, but getting into both seats is not so easy as it is in this airplane. And you know, doors, who's interested in doors until you have to get in the airplane? And then the door makes a lot of difference. And for folks that kind of look at an airplane like this and go, gee, I don't know if I can get in it. Well, that might be true with some, but with this one, it's going to be a lot easier. But the real magic is how well it flies. And you've done a great job with it. It flies wonderfully well.
And we've made some changes that you need to come and fly it again.
Oh, no, I have to go fly it again?
Yeah.
That sounds like an invitation, and I'll take you up on that because it is one of my favorites now of all the many. So how many designs have you done? I was trying to count. 16 or more?
We produced over a dozen. We put over a dozen aircraft in production.
Into production.
Mhm.
Now, they're not all in production anymore. You've taken some of the older models out.
We do 6 in production now, and we do part service on all of them, though.
Still on every model you've ever made. So that's a great thing to know. It's one of the great beauties of buying from a stable company that's in the U.S., been around for a long time, has a good credential. How many airplanes flying? Over 4,000.
We're approaching probably 4,700.
4,700 airplanes. By any measure in aviation, that is a big number, and you've done very well at it.
Thank you.
Some other cool airplanes, too, and some prices that are very attractive. An S6 for down around in the 60s somewhere, right, at the base?
Most airplanes are 50 to 60. This base price on a finished one of these is 87.
Base price on a finished S7, $87,000. That's a great number today.
Yes.
And on a great airplane. And of course, you can always add stuff to it, but even then, you're not going to bid it up too high. I mean,
oh, yeah, you can go as high as you want.
all gold interior or
one
whatever.
right in front of us, or right behind us, is actually 104,000.
Is that right? Okay, so this one equipped as it is, and we'll stick our nose inside it later, but thanks for coming out to talk to us right now. We'll continue around the circle,
see
Randy.
later when it's dry.
Yep.
Okay, Dan, this is totally different than any of the ones we looked at in the circle.
The only one with a full set of wings, you might say. That is top and bottom. But one of the reasons why it's got that configuration, well, there's probably a number of reasons why, but it gives it aerobatic capability. Now, Mike is an airline pilot, and he doesn't get to fly upside down too often with airline people, I'm guessing. I don't know how they frown on that or not. But
very frowned upon.
But this one you like to get upside down in if you can.
If I could,
but you can't today because this is Rotax powered.
Exactly.
Rotax as a company says, nope, we don't want people doing that. We don't want you equipping it for that. We like them to stay right side up. But if you got the upside down buzz, you got to do something else. So you're going to tackle the Lycoming installation.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about how you think that'll go and what will that do for it besides allow it to go upside down.
Well, it'll give us a little more horsepower.
Okay.
But it will
let us 15 more horses, as I recall.
15 to 20.
Okay.
Because what we're
So
going to
that'll
have is a IO 233.
Okay.
Fuel injected. with at least one light speed electronic ignition, which will boost the horsepower a little bit too. But most importantly, it will allow us.
The ignition alone boosts the horsepower. Is that right?
A little bit. The programmable electronic ignition actually
cool?
helps a little bit, and on the fuel efficiency also.
But mainly the reason for the injected
is a whole lot easier to do inverted.
So you don't have to try and pump oil up. It's already being shot into gasoline into the engine. It's being shot in there by the injection system.
Right. But like I said, we're going to have
But it's the 233 or the 235?
233.
233. Now the 233 is the Light Sport version. They've, as Chris told us about the Cub Crafters engine, they've taken some weight off of it to do that. The Lycoming guys have done the same thing. I think reduced it by about 30 or 35 pounds or something
30 to 40
like that.
pounds.
Got quite a bit of weight out of it. Some people saw it as a heavy engine at first, but they've done some good work to get it down, and now it's going to work for you guys in this way. So, when do you think you're going to have that, Mike?
We should have that sometime after the first of the year.
Really?
We've got the 2 airframes ordered. They're going to be delivered to us right around Christmas time.
Oh, great. Christmas presents.
And then
also a lot of work, too, then. But
Doc Bailey and his crew at Renegade are going to do the initial Lycoming installation.
Excellent.
For us. And then, so we probably won't have them in time for Sebring, but sometime shortly after that.
Well, certainly by Sun and Fun.
Should be by
Sun and Fun 2012. Come and look for this pretty little airplane, but with a Lycoming engine in it. And we'll see. Are you going to do an air show act? Probably not right away. I won't put you on the spot. But sometime, somewhere, we'll look for Mike or his brother or somebody else in the organization to be upside down in the Comet. I've gotten to fly this airplane, and it's a performy little airplane in the sense of handling. So with that engine on it, it ought to be quite something. This is a 4 aileron airplane, is it not?
Correct.
And,
4 flapperons, actually.
And flapperons, exactly right. One of the LSA variations that we often see is that. But with 4 ailerons on the wings, on all of the wings that it's got, it gives it some pretty dashing roll rate, I'm guessing. You got a number for me?
Well, in the U.S., Mitch and I tested it from a static 60 degrees bank to static 60 degrees of bank, not being aerobatic, including acceleration to stop, 1.04 seconds.
Oh, jeez. Now, normally when I go up and evaluate an airplane, the most I do is 45 to 45. So here's another 15 degrees and going the other way. That's actually quite a bit more. And usually I would describe an airplane as fast if it did 45 to 45 in 3 seconds. So here's 60 to 60 in shade over 1 second. How do you even measure 1.04 seconds now?
Multiple repetitions.
These airline guys, see, they can do this stuff. The rest of us kind of go, oh, I'm not wearing a watch. Oh, well, I'll just fly along.
Okay,
Thanks for talking with us, Mike. We'll come back and have a look a little more later.
Thank you.
I don't often walk out from underneath a Light Sport aircraft, and I'm not really underneath it, but pretty close. Welcome to Bill Canino, Sport Air USA. He is the importer of the iCub, which we used to know as the Savage. It is still the same airplane, but Bill took this a little bit further and not just jacked it up and put the big tires and the long gear and all the rest on it. Got a lot of variations in that too we can talk about, but tell us why it's an iCub.
We tried to take the basic aircraft and reinforce it for off-field operations, and then we wondered what we could do to keep the weight light and what is available. So we started looking and found there were many, many apps that applied to aviation for the iCub, and with a 10-hour battery we can plug it in without, or put it in the aircraft without plugging it in, and you're able to obtain everything that you need to function. It is able to do all the aviation apps, and then when you land on the beach you take it out and you watch a movie. And if your partner breaks a leg, you call up triage and they'll tell you how to set the broken bone. So it's
not that you did that in the airplane, of course.
Oh, no, it'd be
probably
getting
a
out.
surfing
Yes,
incident.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's a very versatile tool that you can take and do your email and yet put it in the aircraft. This aircraft has its own wireless system, so it can transmit all the data to the iPad and to your partner if you're flying formation. You want to change locations, you just change it here and his iPad updates.
Well, this is an amazing concept here. We've heard about wireless in the airliner. Some people touched on that, and okay, great, you can keep doing your email while Delta transport you across country. This is a whole different thing now. So here you are, iCub 1, iCub 2. You're telling me one can talk to two?
Yes, as a matter of fact,
through this wireless system.
When we do our engine run-ups for maintenance, our maintenance director stays in the hangar and watches his iPhone, and he can tell all the functions of the engine from his desk.
So who'd have thought
within 300 feet?
A fruity computer company getting in a pretty little Cub-like airplane. It's not really a Cub.
No.
You had a great phrase recently Bill's organization puts out a lot of news about what they do. It's great, keeps us all informed, those of us in the media end of things. And you used a term recently, you called it a Cub fly-alike. And I went,
Yes.
that's a new word as far as I know anyway. Maybe some other people have said it, but it was new to me.
Fly-like.
It flies like a Cub, but it is not actually a Cub.
No.
How is it not a Cub?
Well, it's improved materials, it's modern construction, it's an engine that functions without needing oil or really air to cool it. It's the use of modern technology with the Cub-like look that attracts people. And it flies very simply. I landed here at 38 knots yesterday with a load, including me.
A very
Almost
easy
full
flying
fuel.
airplane. Now, one of the models of the what used to be known as the Savage, and it's still the same airplane, so it would have had a line of VG on it.
Yes, it's still a Savage. The manufacturer is Lin, the model is Savage, or the make is Savage, and the model is Cub. And then
So they're still manufacturing the other two models, or
Yes.
actually the three models, I guess.
Yes,
It's a total of 4, as
Yes.
I recall,
Uh,
with
the
some new
classic.
prices on them too, by the way. But
we just lowered the prices in response to some of the issues that we're seeing with the euro. The euro dropped a little bit, and we're tied to it, so we keep our price at the same location.
so give us the range. Well, since we touched on that, the price is important to a lot of people, and I don't have the numbers on my tongue, but I'll bet you do. But the bottom end, the basic model,
Basic
classic,
model,
I think you call it.
Actually, the basic model is now the bobber. It's the
okay.
open airframe with the covered wings and tail.
We'll talk
And
about that a little bit
it
more in a
gets out
second.
a little bit into customization. There are 26 different colors you can paint it,
Yeah.
even on the engine. Then next is a classic.
Okay, but what's the price point of the bobber?
I'm sorry, 65,000.
65,000 today.
Ready
That's
to
a
fly.
remarkable number. I'll go back in history just a little bit here quickly. 7 years ago, when the Light Sport segment first got life from FAA, people were talking about $50,000 or $60,000 being the right price. If you just add inflation or time value of money into that, you're at a bigger number than that. So people that said, "Oh, they're too expensive today," aren't paying attention. $65,000 for one model. Go on with some of the others, Bill.
The next aircraft is the classic, the one that originally started to Lynn Savage, and it's at 72,000. Then the Cub with a heavier reinforced fuselage and wing and heavier gear is about 82, and the iCub is about 87. So each
So
one of
still
them,
under 90
yes.
grand. Now is that with big tires and stuff?
Not this large, but 26-inch tires.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
these
these are 30-inch, and
These
they're
are
bush
giant
wheels.
tires.
These are those tires that I told you earlier. When you land on pavement, you take $20 out of this pocket and you put it in the other pocket for your tires. We like them on grass. The grass
I
is
like
perfect.
these on grass. These are grass tires.
Yes.
Okay, well that's great. There's a lot more we could cover on this, but that was a great introduction to it. We'll probably come around here and do a little more. But thanks for talking with
It's
us,
a
Bill.
fun plane and fun to be here.
Yeah, it's great. Great to have you here. Where we're going. Well, we're still here at the Midwest LSA Expo. We're still looking at taildraggers, and now we've come to one of the leaders of the whole flock. These guys have done a great job for a long time. Pretty little yellow airplanes that everybody seems to love. Again, 1 in 5 of all the SLSA in the country are airplanes that look something like this, and most of them come from this country. But evidently they like to be color-coded, because we've got Dave Graham here from Legend Aero, and look at this now. It doesn't quite match, Dave. You're
quite.
going to need a little darker color, or repaint the whole airplane.
I think we'll repaint the airplane.
There you go. Dave, welcome. Good to have you
talking,
here at
Dan.
the Midwest LSA Expo. A little bit of not the weather we'd love to have, but hey, we're here and we're having fun, and you got a big smile on as usual. So,
Absolutely.
what's new with American Legend?
Yeah, well, American Legend introduced the Super Legend earlier this year.
And what makes it super?
What makes it super? It's got a couple of changes compared to the traditional Legend that you see here. It's got a Lycoming 0233 engine, which is multi-fuel capable, 115 horsepower.
Multi-fuel meaning it'll run auto gas as well?
Auto gas as well.
Okay.
And there's also
And they are ready with that now, are they?
the final documentation is being prepared.
Okay.
So we're starting testing probably in another week.
Another week. Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time most people see this video, that ought to all be ready, and you could deliver them.
Yeah. Our first delivery is first week of January next year, and
Okay.
we've already got quite a backlog into next year
Excellent.
with those airplanes.
Good for you. Well, that's great. You've normally used this. I'm going to move the prop here just a
Yeah.
little bit so we can see that it says Continental on the valve covers here.
Yeah.
That's been one, but not the only engine that you've had. You guys have tried a few different engines. You
Yeah.
tried a Jabiru, did
That's
you not?
right. That's right. We also tried the Jabiru, and the preference is for the Continental engine. And
Is that because it's true to the flavor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and 70% of the airplanes that Legend have produced have been open cowl. Rather than we also offer the closed cowl variety.
Right, closed cowl like we saw in the
Yeah.
Carbon Cub encloses all of this. But
Yeah.
if you're interested in this kind of airplane, you're already interested in kind of a vintage
Mm-hmm.
look anyway. And so the open cowl is both fits the mold, but I'm guessing that this cools brilliantly.
Yes, it does. It's a very. In fact, with the open cowl, we don't need to add an oil cooler because it cools sufficiently without an oil
Normally
cooler.
you would have one, but you don't even need it on
You
this.
don't
is that
even
right?
need it on this. yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that saves a couple of pounds there
It
too,
does,
doesn't
yeah.
it?
This airplane, Dan, is also one of the original ones that they built.
This is the very first Cub produced by American Legend. This
Is that right?
6 years old.
It just looks like it came out of the showroom.
Looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, we
Not just for a 6-year-old, looks just pretty darn good.
yeah, it is the very first airplane that was produced.
Excellent, excellent. Now, we talked about some other brands that got their certification earlier in some of our other videos, but American Legend was way up there. I forgot exactly where it was, 5th or 6th or something like that.
Yeah, the company opened for business at Sun and Fun 2005 with 16 orders right at that show, and that was the first show that the LSAs were available at. And the first customer delivery took place later that year. And again, very early on, I don't know the exact number.
Yeah, it doesn't matter either,
Yeah.
but it was an early participant.
Yeah.
Took right off right away with that 16 order start and just continued right on, and even today is one of the very top ranking airplanes in the country. And Dave, you're a little newer with the company, but
Yeah.
are you enjoying flying around in
Yeah.
pretty little yellow Cubs?
I am. My background, I learned to fly in a Piper Super Cruiser. That was the first airplane I purchased, and I learned to fly in it. So it's kind of got back to my roots, you know.
Come full circle in your short young age here.
That's right. That's right. And the predominant customer is somebody that has owned several airplanes or has a business airplane and wants something fun for the weekend.
So commonly that's true that they probably have something else as well,
Yeah.
and this is their joy machine.
Yeah, that's
Because
very
flying
common.
around in this, there's a few differences. We'll cover some of these things. We've done it in our previous videos, but just to make sure you know some of the differences. The original Cubs didn't look quite like what we're looking at here because this door wouldn't have opened on this side. It only opened on the other side, and you had to fly it from the back seat. That and some other things were changes at the beginning with the American Legend Aero, right?
Yeah, the three basic changes are the fuel tanks are in the wings, so that allows you to solo from either the front or the back seat. The cockpit is 3 inches wider, so it accommodates the wider butt that we
The
have today.
hamburger-loving American, yes, right.
And cut it. It's got,
He'll give you a go.
and the third thing is it's got a door on either side, and that people don't think that's a big deal, but it's almost like having an open cockpit plane that you can close up when it gets too cold.
And you can open the doors in flight.
Yeah, and you can leave them open.
And leave them open in flight. But there's another value yet again, and they've done this too, and that's float planes. There is a Legend Amphib Cub, I
Yeah.
believe is the correct name, is
Yeah.
it? And the beauty of it's an airplane with floats on it, obviously, but the beauty of doors on both sides is typically when you dock a high wing airplane or bring it to the shore, you do so at a dock, and if you can get out on both sides, that's a big advantage. Otherwise, you've always got to accommodate that, and that's not so easy in windy conditions.
Yeah, that's right. And with the door on both sides, you don't have to walk the wire in front of the floats. It makes float flying much easier.
Much better. Thanks for talking with us, Dave
Very
Graham
welcome.
from American Legend, and we're going to look some more at these airplanes.
Okay, Dan, we have VFR conditions here, and these guys want to go flying, so we're going to have to wrap this up. But we need some addresses. What do we got here?
Well, let's look at all of them real quickly so these guys can go fly finally. Amen. Carbon Cub SS, you find more information about that from cubcrafters.com. A lot of information, very pretty website, a lot of details. Look for the Carbon Cub SS and you'll get more information about it. More information about the RANS line, and they've got both a line of bicycles and airplanes, so look for RANS, RANS.com, and then look for the little airplane symbol. Takes you to all their airplane information for kits and fully built airplanes, and if you want to, you can stray back into the bike side as well. For more information about the FK12 Comet, more of the FK airplanes, including FK9, but also the other airplanes that Hansen Air Group sells, go to hansenairgroup.com. That's HANSEN airgroup.com. For more information about the Savage iCub, go to icub.aero. That's ICUB.aero. But when you get there, you can also explore the other Sport Air USA airplanes, including the Sirius and the Sting. All available if you go to icub.aero. For more information about the Legend Cub and their line of airplanes, including the Super Legend and the Amphib Cub, and the Legend Cub, the original here, go to legend.aero, legend.aero. And now, we got to let these boys go fly. Thanks for watching today. Dan Johnson reporting at Midwest LSA Expo 2011.